Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description, and check out the website, which is also linked down in the description. I do update that every day with my polling averages, and we are just now 4 days away from the election, so you should check that out. But in today's video, I will be doing my final governor elections predictions video. Now, there are not too many governor elections this year. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 predictions. There are 20 Democrats that are not up for re-election. There are 19 Republicans that are not up for re-election. Currently, as it stands, there are 26 Republican governors, 24 Democratic governors, but there are some interesting governor elections this year, so I will be going over them, saying my predictions, and the way I rate the system for safe, likely, lean, tilt. Tilt is between 0 and 2 percentage points. Lean is between 2 and 5 percentage points. Likely is between 5 and 10 percentage points. And safe is above 10 percentage points. So to start off with the safe states, as always, that will include first the states of New Hampshire and Vermont. Well, you look at New Hampshire, for example, you see that you have Chris Sununu, who is the incumbent governor, very popular, especially on COVID. He's handled COVID well, according to his constituents, and he's, sailing to re-election. We can look at many of these polls here that show him ahead by miles. We have some outliers showing him up by only 5 percentage points, for example, but most polls are showing him up even in, the 20 points at least. He will at least win, by maybe 15, 20 points, but he will cruise to victory and he will get an easy victory. Same thing in Vermont. In Vermont, you do have Phil Scott, who is the Republican governor, versus David Zuckerman, who is the Democratic governor. And speaking, actually a little bit about New Hampshire, it's kind of surprising how much Chris Sununu is winning by, given you look and you see that the Democratic candidate, Dan Feltz, is actually the majority leader of the New Hampshire State Senate. So, on paper, he'd be a good candidate, but Chris Sununu is just such a good candidate that he's going to win by a safe margin. Getting on to Vermont, Phil Scott versus David Zuckerman, you see a similar story if you look at the polls. And while we don't have many good polls here, they obviously all show Phil Scott up by, such a huge margin. Vermont and New Hampshire both have 2-year terms as governor, so that's another interesting thing of note in the state of New Hampshire and Vermont. The next state that will be safe for the Republicans is the state of West Virginia. In West Virginia, you have Jim Justice for the Republican Party. He was elected as a Democrat in 2016. He is now a Republican. He is going up against the Democrat Ben Salongo, and I believe there's also a third-party candidate, Daniel Lutz of the Mountain Party. But you look at these polls, he'll win by around a safe margin. Maybe, it goes to around 10 to 11 percentage points, but it won't be very competitive at all. Jim Justice will be able to win fairly easily, even though he's not that popular of a governor. The next state is actually quite an interesting state, and that is Indiana, where you have the incumbent governor, Eric Holcomb, who is going up against the Democrat, Woody Myers, and the Libertarian candidate, Donald Rainwater. And we actually had an interesting poll. If we go back here, Governor Holcomb was actually in first place, but he was only 12% ahead of Donald Rainwater, who was cracking 24% of the vote, which is pretty crazy for a Libertarian candidate. But he won't get anything like that. Maybe he could crack 10%, which would be very significant for a state like Indiana, to get a Libertarian candidate getting above 10 percentage points. But you can see here that he is in 3 out of the 4 polls cracking 10%. So that is significant. But regardless, it won't matter too much because Eric Holcomb will beat Woody Myers by a safe margin. Missouri is another state I do think that will go by a safe margin. If we do look at the polls for the state of Missouri, you can see Mike Parson. He's only been up, just under 10 percentage points in a lot of these polls, but Missouri polls notoriously underestimate Democrats. But then we look at some of these other polls, they do show Mike Parson ahead by over a safe margin. And sure, he's going up against Nicole Galloway, who is the only statewide elected Democrat in the state of Missouri. She's the state treasurer, but she's not really going to make it competitive. Maybe it'll be, only goes by 15 points at the presidential level, but at the governor level, it'll probably be a similar story. Maybe he even runs ahead of Donald Trump. We'll see about that. The state of North Dakota is next. We have Doug Burgum here versus Shelley Lenz. I don't even know if we have any polls here, but it's not going to competitive at all. Doug Burgum was ahead, obviously, not good pollsters, but he was ahead by in the 30s points, which makes sense for a state like North Dakota. And then finally, the final safe state for the Republicans is Utah. In Utah, we do have Spencer Cox versus Christopher Peterson. If we do look at the Utah polls, they got a lot of media coverage when they had that ad together, which was actually quite interesting. A sense of and a show of bipartisanship during these times that are incredibly divisive. But regardless of that, we do look at these polls. TJ Cox is going to win by a safe margin, nothing competitive there. So after these safe states, Republicans are already at 26, which is the number of seats they have right now. And sure, it doesn't work as, a unicameral body or a legislative body. It's still useful to know the amount of governors that the Democrats and Republicans have in each state. Then the safe margins for the Democrats. First, Delaware, I do believe, will go by a safe margin. In Delaware, we have John Carney versus Julianne Murray. I do believe we have one poll here. Yes, we had one poll from the University of Delaware, which showed John Carney up by 29 percentage points. He'll get an easy victory there. And then the final safe state for the Democrats is the state of Washington. Now, Washington's a state where you have Jay Inslee, who is running for a third term against Lauren Culp, and he is leading, by a lot in a lot of these polls, closer than some people might think. But, it is interesting to see that, Jay Inslee even running for a third term. He's gotten quite popular because of the COVID and, his response to it. They were hit hard at the beginning, but, that doesn't really matter with this election now, what they got hit hard by at the beginning. But we do look at the state of the race now. We can see that Jay Inslee, who's a popular governor, will win by a safe margin against Lauren Culp in the state of Washington. So after these safe states, Democrats are at 22 seats. The Republicans are at 26, and then we only have two more here. First, I do believe that the state of North Carolina will go by a likely margin to the Democrats. We have Roy Cooper here versus Dan Forest. Now, it's surprising how well Roy Cooper is doing. You look at a lot of these polls, he's winning by, huge margins. He could easily go by a safe margin, to be honest. I think he'll win by around 9 percentage points, to be honest. I think the polls in North Carolina, as they usually do, underestimate Republicans a little bit, and I think that Dan Forest will do a little bit better than getting, 41% of the vote. But regardless, I do think that Roy Cooper is a good candidate, and he will do well in the state of North Carolina, winning it by a likely margin. And then the final state is the state of Montana, where we have Mike Cooney versus Greg Gianforte. Now, we did have actually a decent amount of polling, especially for a governor's race, and it has shown that Mike Cooney has not led in a single poll here. And, part of that could be due to the name recognition. Greg Gianforte is the incumbent representative for the at-large district in Montana. He also ran for Senate in 2016, I believe, and not for Senate, for governor in 2016. And so, he's known around Montana, and he should be able to win quite easily. But I just think it could be a little closer. Probably goes by around 4 to 5 percentage points. Nothing too competitive, but that will be a seat that Republicans do win. So after all of these states, not many interesting states. We have 11 races, only one flip, and that would be the state of Montana, where you have an open seat. Steve Bullock is not running for re-election. He is term limited. He is running for Senate, and I guess a sneak peek at the Senate race, he's probably not going to win either. So looking at the final map, the Republicans have 27, Democrats have 23. We have a lot of interesting governor elections in 2022, so there will be a lot of talk about those when they come up. But right now, we're talking about 2020, and today is my governor election prediction. Tomorrow will be my House election prediction. The next day, November 1st, will be my Senate election prediction, and then finally on November 2nd will be my presidential election prediction. And then I do have a surprise on November 3rd, a 500 subscriber special. I'll be doing a giveaway as well, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, join the Discord that is linked down in the description, and check out the website, which is also linked down in the description. So again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.